All right, beautiful people, this time we're going to create a C program to find out GCD and LCM of two numbers. GCD stands for Greatest Common Divisor, LCM stands for Least Common Multiple. At the beginning, I will show you how to find GCD and LCM theoretically so that you can remind yourself what basically GCD and LCM is. And then we can create our algorithm based on the logic or idea that we generate. And finally, we're going to create our C program. So let's start. First of all, I'm going to take two numbers to find their GCD and LCM. So let's say I have two numbers here, 24 and 30. So what is the smallest number that I can use to divide them? Like maybe we can start with 2. That's going to make sense. Of course, we're not going to start with 1. So here we can divide 24 by 12 times and this one 15 times, okay? Now let's think about the next number that we can use to divide both of them. So we are looking for the common one here. If we choose 2, then maybe we can divide 12 but not 15, but we can go with 3, I guess. So 3 will help us to divide this 12 by 4 times and 15 5 times, okay? Now there is no common number that we can pick up, in between them to divide them for sure. So what are those numbers we have used to divide both of these numbers? So what was those common numbers? We have used 2 and 3, okay? So these are two numbers we were able to use them to divide these numbers that we had originally, right? So here we are going to use them as a GCD. So GCD will be basically multiplication of these two numbers. So here I can write GCD is going to be 2 into 3. So these are the common numbers that we have used to divide these numbers. In this case, 2 into 3 will be 6. So this is our GCD basically. And how you're going to find the LCM. LCM basically, if you see here, let me explain you. So you need to, in case of LCM, you need to take the common numbers as well the numbers that were not common end of the calculation. So it will be 2 into 3 6, 6 into 4 will be 24, and 24 into 5 will be 120. So that's going to be our LCM here. Now one formula I really like to tell you here, if you can find out your GCD, then LCM will be super easy. And what is that formula for finding the LCM? Let me write it down here. So in order to finding LCM, you just need to multiply your two numbers, which are the original numbers, n1, n2, let's say in this case, and then you need to divide it by GCD. This will help us to find the LCM. So again, try to understand what basically we're trying to do here. First of all, this was just to explain you about like what GCD and LCM is basically. And now we are coming back to the formulas that we are going to create for our C program. First of all, if you can find out GCD, again, what I'm saying, if you can find out GCD, LCM is going to be super easy because that's the formula for LCM. You need to multiply those two numbers and divide by GCD. So in our case, the number was 24 and 30. So here I'm going to move a bit. So let's say number 1 was 24 and 30, of course, that was in our case. So here I'm going to put them 24 and 30, and then you need to divide it by GCD. That's the formula for LCM, right? So here GCD was 6. Now if I divide it 24 by 6, it will be 4 times, and 4 into 30 will be 120. Now you see we had in our case also LCM is 120, if you recall. That's how we have found theoretically, right? So here our main logic is to find out the GCD. If you can find out the GCD, LCM is going to be super easy by using this formula, right? So what I'm going to do here, let me go back. Here I'm going to write the formula for GCD and LCM that we are going to use. Again, we already know how to find LCM if we have GCD. So in this case, what we did, we were calculating number 1 and number 2 and dividing it by GCD. So that's the one formula actually we have already got. But now our task is how we can get GCD. Let's try to understand that. First of all here, before even moving to the program, what I'm going to do, I will go back to the drawing again. Our main task is to find GCD. So let's say we have two numbers. Again, we'll start. N1 is 24 and N2 is 30 here. So let me put it here. N2 is 30. Now we need to find their GCD. That's our task here. First of all, when we'll start, just like before, if you recall, we have done the sum of digits, reverse, palindrome. In most of the cases, we're dealing with a reminder, right? So the same thing we'll be doing here. Our formula is going to be here. I'm going to write it down. So let me just write it down. The formula will be reminder n1 modulus n2. This is going to be our formula, and each time the value of n and n2 will be changed here. So the value of n1 will be the last value of n2, and n2 value will be the remainder that we get here. Okay, and we will basically run these things until n2 is not equal 0. So we are going to run the entire one here that we have, and how long we will be running until the n2 is 0. So here I'm going to put the while loop, and we'll see how basically this one work anyway. So here I'm going to put the body of the loop, and here I'm going to end. We're going to run this until n2 not 0. Now let's see things are action. Let's see whether it does work in our case. So at the beginning, our n2 is not 0. So in the first iteration, I'm going to write it here for you. So let's say in the first iteration here, let's see what happened. So in our case, of course, n2 is 30. That means we can go inside the loop, right? Try to understand whatever I'm explaining, try to understand from the left-hand side. Now, in the first iteration, n2 is 30, and that's why we can go inside the loop. Fair enough. We're coming here. And what basically will happen this time, we're going to find out the remainder. So what will be the remainder in this case? Now, if n1 is 24 and n2 is 30, then what's going to be the remainder? Let me go down below here, and maybe I can draw here a bit. So our n1 is 24, n2 is 30. We need to find out the remainder. We cannot even divide by 1 here, so we're going to multiply with 0, and the remainder will be 24, right? So here our remainder is 24. So let's come back. We're going to use the remainder 24 here in the first iteration. And now we're going to change the value. n1 will have the value of n2, and n2 will have the value of the remainder that we have in this iteration. So the last value of n2 was 30. Therefore, here we are going to use or assign the value of n2 to n1. And what will be the value of n2 this time? The remainder we have got here. So here we have this value. Now this is our first iteration. We have completed this one. Okay, let's move on. After we complete the first iteration, we need to go for the second one. Here I'm going to make this one a little bit small so that we can see well. Let's go for this second iteration this time. So I'm going to copy and paste just here, and let's see what happened this time. Maybe I can move this one a little bit here. So let's focus on the second iteration this time. Here I'm going to put second iteration, and this time the value of n2 is 24. Okay, so again, what we need to do again, here I'm going to remove all these values so that you can focus again. Let me keep it up like this. So now what will be the remainder is this time? So the value of n1 was, in the last iteration was 30, and value of n2 is 24. So we need to divide 30 by 24 and find the remainder. So let's go down below and let's do it again. So this time we are going to use 24 to divide 30. Okay, so this time we can divide it by at least one time. So here it will be 24 into 1 into 24, and the remainder is going to be 6. So we have found a remainder. Let's come back here and let's put it here. So the new remainder is 6, and the last value of n2 will be n1 this time. So in the last iteration, the value of n2 was 24. Therefore, this time we can assign this 24 to n1, and the n2 will have the value of remainder in the current iteration that we have. So it will be 6. So there you go. Our second iteration is also done. Now we'll go back to the third iteration. Let's see what happened in the third iteration. Here I'm going to put third iteration. Okay. And what is the value of n2 in the last iteration? It was 6. So I need to put 6 here. Let me put it here. Okay. Again, we can go through our loop and check everything. Okay. So because n2 is not equal to 0, we can run the loop again. We need to find out the remainder. What was the last value of n1? The last value of n1 was 24, and the current n2 value is 6. So we have these both value 24 modulus 6, if I put it like this. And you know what will be the remainder of this one? It will be 0. Okay, because we can divide 24 by 6 4 times. So the remainder will be 0. What will be the n1 in this case? So the last value of n2 will be n1. In our case, in the iteration, we can see the last value of n2 was 6. Therefore, we can put this one here. And n2 will be the, the remainder, the current remainder. So we can see we already have the current remainder 0. Therefore, this one will be 0 here. So there you go. We have our third iteration. So let me put it here. Now that we have found our third iteration, let's come back for the fourth and let's see what happened this time. So now what was the last value of n2 in the third iteration? It was 0. So let me put it here, 0. Now that n2 is 0, therefore we cannot go inside the loop. So there is no point of having these things. We cannot go inside even because we will be running until n2 not equals 0. So then in the end, what is the GCD? The GCD is going to be the n1 value, the last value of n1. And you can see it's 6. And if you recall, we have already checked the GCD will be 6 in our case. We already checked that theoretically as well. So now that you have seen how I have done everything like with the help of iteration, I did explain you, and hopefully things made sense. Now all we need to do, we need to use this logic in our C program. And let's see how to do that. Let's go back. Here we are. And we can take user input. First of all, we need to take 2 user input here from the user, which is going to be number 1 and number 2. Let's do that. Here I'm going to declare a variable. Again, let's bring that formula here. Let me just close this, and the formula that we have here, we're going to bring this one. Maybe after a few seconds. Let's complete this one first. Let's get the number 1 and number 2. And then let's get a reminder. That's something we need. And maybe also we will be creating 2 variables for GCD and LCM for now. Okay. Let's ask the user to give us the number. So here we're going to ask the user to give us the first number. Enter first number. There you go. And we'll take that number for sure with the help of scanf. So let's do that. Here we're going to use scanf. And then we are going to use %d. Of course, we are going to assign this variable to number 1. There you go. But of course, as usual, we already seen how to make sure the number we are checking the number validation or the input validation. Let's do that one more time. Here I'm going to use an if block while we're taking the user input, and I want to make sure the input is here, not equal 1. So basically what we have used here, of course, I have explained so many times, we just want to make sure the input is valid. So if somebody is giving 2 inputs, in this case, let's say if or somebody gives A here, which is not a valid input, in this case this one should work, and that's why we have this validation here. Okay, here I'm going to put printf, and then I'm going to show invalid input. I already explained how this validation works in earlier lessons, so that's why I'm going to skip this for now. And whenever it's invalid, we're going to return to the compiler, and that's why we have this return 1. Okay. So again, maybe I can explain real quick here. Let's say if somebody gives us an invalid input A here. And in this case, this one will have the value 1. And if somebody say 1 not equal 1, which is, not true, so it will not come inside here. Just in case of value like 1 number actually. But if somebody gives us 2 number, in this case, try to understand what will happen. We will have 2. And 2 not equal 1 is true for sure. And that's why it will go inside, it will show invalid input. Okay, fair enough. Let's continue. We are going to do exact same thing for the next number. So here I'm going to copy and paste. Let me just be real quick and let me paste it here. This time I'm going to say enter the second number. All right, and this time we're going to assign it into number 2. Fair enough. Now that we have both inputs, we also want to make sure they are not 0. Because for 0, we cannot decide GCD and LCM, right? So therefore, I'm going to copy and paste this part. So let me do that. Here, we're going to make sure that both numbers are not 0. So number 1 equals 0. And number 2 equals 0 in both cases. It's not the valid input we're looking for. So we're going to say GCD and LCM. LCM are undefined for 0 and 0. Let me just put something like that. That's all, 0 and 0. Okay, fair enough. That should be all for now. Actually, we have done our validation. Let's continue. Now again, there is one more thing I want to do. Let's say if somebody gives us negative number, we're not looking for a negative number, right? Somebody can give us -5, -8. We are looking for positive integer. So maybe we could add validation for that, but let's say even if somebody gives us negative value, we can convert that into positive value with the help of absolute function. Let's do that. Here I'm going to use absolute number 1. There you go, just for extra validation, nothing else. And here I'm going to use absolute number 2 for number 2. There you go. Now that we are done, we also want to make sure one thing. Even after all the calculation, we want to keep our original numbers, right? So that's why I will go back. And why is that? Because if you recall, for after finding GCD, we're going to find LCM, right? And for LCM, we need the original number 1 and number 2, okay? Because we are going to divide original number multiplied by original number 2 divided by GCD, right? So in this case, we need to store our original number as it is. We need to keep it as it is. So what can we do in this case? Just like before, we can store them inside two temporary variables. So let's do that. Here I'm going to, at the top here, I'm going to define two variables. Let's say first and second going to be the other one. And now we can go down below here and assign them to the temporary variable. So number 1 will be inside first, and number 2 will be inside second actually. So now we are going to deal with first and second instead of number 1 and number 2. Okay, let's go back. We are going to bring our formulas that we created. I'm going to copy it, and then we are going to paste it down below here. And remember, this time we're changing. Actually, we're using second instead of n2. Reminder, of course, I have used the complete name. So here I'm going to use reminder. Instead of n1, I'm going to use first as we have planned. And instead of n2, we are going to use second. So this should be just as it is. Instead of n1, we are going to use first. Instead of n2, we are going to use second. All right, it makes sense, hopefully. And the last here, adjustment we need to make is going to be reminder. That's all. After the calculation, we know that our GCD will be the first value, which is n1, or the first variable in our case. And once we have the GCD, we can easily find out the LCM. We know the formula for that. We are going to multiply number 1 into number 2, and then we are going to divide it by GCD. That should be all. Now let's run this, but before running it, we need to print the result. So let's do that here. We are going to use printf as usual, and let's print a new line here just to be, just to make it a little bit beautiful here. So greatest common, if I make typing mistake or spelling mistake, sorry for that. Greatest common divisor. This time we're going to have here GCD just to make it looking beautiful, that's all. And then here I'm going to use first and the new line for sure, and then let's print GCD. All right, fair enough. Let me just copy and paste. This time it's going to be least common multiple, and I'm just removing the new line, sorry for that. And then let's come back here, least common multiple, fair enough. And in the end, the only adjustment I need to make here is printing the variable LCM. All right, fair enough. We have done a lot. Now it's time to check this one. So here I'm going to compile and run. And there is something wrong about the absolute. Okay, maybe I can get this standard library just to get rid of that problem. Standard library.h. And I'm going to compile and run it one more time, and this time it's running. So it was the issue with standard library.header. Okay, so the absolute function was inside. Okay, now what basically we are going to do, we are going to give the first number 24 and second number 30, as we have seen in our example. If you recall, we decided to go with first number 24 and second number 30, and our result was, of course, you have seen the GCD was 6 and LCM was 120. So let's see. So we can see the greatest common divisor is 6 and least common multiple is 120. So hopefully it made sense. Of course, it requires some practice, and please make sure to do that.